Yeah, it's just letting everybody know there is Galactus out in the hallway. We have already reached out to the Baxter building, and we left a voicemail. So I just need to get you all know Galactus is here. We're going to give everybody a couple more minutes to recharge. I do need to say this. This is about Green Lantern. Okay, if your rings are not charged, we do not offer any warranty or discount. Yep, sorry. Just had to get that out of the way. No. She was. No. It's the space. There's just so much space out there. No, it's fine. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I just. What do I do with my hands? I apparently
check.
No, it's okay. The problem is me. What? I can't hear you. Is this better? Make sure you get my good side. Thank you.
I'll use this one.
Yeah, no, whatever works. Testing, yeah.
My voice is gone.
You know, it's funny. One of my friends met you, and I told him I was doing the panel. I said, "Oh, you're going to fit right in. You're chatty. He's chatty. The panel's going to be too long."
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am the chattiest person you'll meet. If you come to my booth, I don't want you to leave.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
All right, the legends are out of the room. Let's really...
oh, no, not the legends. Wait, you haven't written that book yet?
No.
Spoiler, I knew it.
I meant the actual legends.
Oh, yeah, they're all great.
Oh, my gosh.
They're spectacular.
Anybody who cares to bring any of these?
No, that was not me.
No, but you could flip them on eBay.
Yeah, it's true. We could flip that. Drank by Ann
Because
Nesenti.
John Romita Jr.
John Romita Jr. drank half of that.
I mean, that's big
Hey,
money.
listen. DNA. No.
We could clone them.
Yep.
From the DNA.
And then we'll get Spider-Man drawn by Romita's forever.
Oh,
that'd be
that's
great.
the dream.
I know, right? That'd be crazy. So I'm gonna give it one more minute. One more minute. I see.
I'm
some
sure there's a
familiar faces.
rush.
Yeah. No. Well, I told you. It's not in your universe, but Galactus is in the hallway.
Oh.
So, yeah, he's very tall, menacing. It wasn't a cloud. I need to strike that. There was no Cloud Actus out there. Okay. So I just need to get that clear. We don't talk about that.
We talked about it. One of my first pitches when I was doing The Flash, there was this whole thing with Savitar. And originally, it was very loosey-goosey. They wouldn't let me do everything. And I was like, what if Galactus had gotten through the source wall? And we just never call him Galactus. And he's in the DC universe. And they were just like, you can't. I'd only done like 3 comics. Like, you can't do that.
No. But the other funny thing is that they have a don't cross the streams policy, and then someone does it. So I was like, we don't cross the streams here. However, there is a loophole, and I was like, that's called a black hole. Come on. Yes.
If they're big enough, you can do anything.
It's true.
They're going to do the crossover.
Yeah, it's always gonna happen.
You have a lot of words on that page.
I do. I wrote all my questions out. 1, to prove to myself that I can do research, and 2,
that you can write.
Some people are like, you typed your answers, and I'm like, well, yeah.
Wait, you typed my answers?
Well, no, I didn't.
I get it after your
No. I didn't run this by Warner Brothers, so this is not confirmed. So
that's okay.
If you hear spoilers,
I get in trouble all the time.
It's fine. All right, so you know what? We'll start.
Yeah.
So, everybody, thank you so much for evading Galactus by taking this time to relax. We appreciate it. But we're in the DC universe. So we're going to call him by his proper name, Darkseid.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is Jeremy Adams, everyone.
Me.
So, yes, thank
please,
you.
Please.
Right. Pause for dramatic effect. Good. So Flash, Green Lantern Corps now. He's working on Aquaman as well.
I've got the Jeff Johns punch card.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm starting a company next year.
Are you collecting like the DC version of the Infinity Stones? So, or is it like you get a punch card and it was like, all right, you get 1 free reboot?
Jeff and I are friendly, and I am kind of like, is somebody tracking this? Because it's always like a lesser degree. I'm like chasing his shadow a little bit. Mm-hmm. So great.
All right. So for my first question is, before we get to comics, I was doing research because again, this is all not questions for him, by the way. These are other interviews. So I just
questions for you.
No. Supernatural.
Yes.
Okay. So first thing, Supernatural fans in here? Okay, good. No demons.
It's only been on 15 years. You have a chance.
Yeah, exactly. Not right now. So You wrote a few episodes in the later seasons. I think it's like 13, 15. But the one I have to talk about, it was actually my first episode ever watching, Scooby Natural.
Yes.
So you co-wrote it with Jim Krieg.
Yeah.
So that's, for those who don't know, the Winchesters end up getting animated and end up with Scooby-Doo. So before you can say zoinks, it gets crazy.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, how? Like, just how and why and what did you feel about the final product?
So most of my career is in animation. I do a lot of animated Warner Brothers properties. My first credit was in Green Lantern, the animated series, and I Justice League Action and different movies and stuff. And I've done some Scooby-Doo. And what had happened was there was this really weird moment where they had done a Hulk Hogan Scooby-Doo, and then Hulk Hogan said some really bad things, and they were like, we can't do that anymore.
No.
We have to get rid of that. And then they were doing a Dukes of Hazzard Scooby-Doo, and they were like, the Confederate flag probably shouldn't be in this anymore. So they were like, we got to
two.
So they were like, what are we going to do? And I go, you got to do a Supernatural crossover. And literally the guy who runs Scooby-Doo was like, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life. And I was like, I know, but that's all I do is dumb ideas.
Right.
So I was like, please. And they're like, no. So for like 2 years, I kept kind of bugging them about it. And then on the other side, in Supernatural, I had a friend of mine who I had met when he had started doing comics, and I was working for a producer years and years ago. His name was Andrew Dabb. He got on Supernatural in the 4th season. I celebrated by taking him to Sizzler, and and then he ended up by season 13. They were like, "You can have the show. You're the showrunner now." And Jim Krieg, who is like my mentor or friend, he goes, we should pitch it as a show there. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I have. So I called him up and I go, hey, would you ever want to do a, Scooby-Doo Supernatural crossover? He's like, oh my gosh, yeah, that'd be amazing. And I'm like, okay. And I go over to Jim. I go, well, now you got to get the president of Warner Brothers Animation to say yes. And he goes, okay, hold on. And he hangs up the phone and he went outside, and the Supernatural brothers, the Winchester brothers, were on the cover of Entertainment Weekly, and he grabs the Entertainment Weekly, and he walks in and he goes, they want us to do this as a crossover. And he's like, I love it. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So every step of the project, we kept thinking, they're going to stop us. They have to stop us because this is insane. And we had a budget meeting, and then you start to realize the disparity between live action and animation, because they're like, well, it's going to cost this much in animation. And I look at Jim like, well, that's it. And they go, oh, that's what we spend on music. And we're like, oh, okay, and so we had to write it a year in advance. Immediately as we started writing it, Jim, and if you ever get a chance to meet Jim, he's a legend, but it's all about himself, and in a very charming way. And he's very much like, the minute we start, well, I really hope we get to go to Vancouver. And so they're like, yeah, you can go to Vancouver. So we go to Vancouver, we get on set, and he goes, I really hope we can be in the background somewhere. And so when Dean says, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, if you look over his shoulder, you see me and Jim sitting there like,
Oh my God.
It was incredibly surreal. They premiered it at the Paley Fest, thousands of people. I had one of the most demoralizing moments was I introduced my wife to the boys, and she's never watched the show, but they are the handsomest people in the world. Right. Yeah. And her reaction was, hi, like that. I was like, wow, in front of me. Yep. Like, that's pretty.
Well, I mean, listen, it's the Winchesters, So
it was a rare project where every note, we had a notes call, and beforehand, because Jim had worked on Monk and stuff, he goes, they're just gonna tear it apart. And every note was like, hey, could you turn to page 3? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, that was pretty funny. We're like,
yeah, I don't know.
Every page.
I don't know what I enjoyed more. It was just, I think it was like Dean just disliking Fred because he was like, yeah, Fred's a freaking wad.
Yeah.
It was
and
like,
he loves Daphne.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that better have the Scooby-Doo. I'll take a bullet for that dog.
What made it sing for me, like Spike Brandt, who did the animation direction. Right. There's a scene where somebody gets like cut in half, like Clive Barker, and we saw it, and we're like, we had always been told that you can't do that stuff with Scooby-Doo, and so we're like, this is really violent. And they were like, it's fine. I'm like, it's fine? And then they have that existential crisis where Daphne's like, am I going to hell?
Right. And I think the one moment that I still laugh at to this day was Castiel, who's like, I have led armies, and now I'm working with a Philistine and a talking dog.
Yeah.
Like he is just like, this is where my life is.
Yeah.
Like it's just
it was amazing. It kind of changed my career. After that, they asked me to come in. They asked me to be on staff, and I wrote 2 more episodes. And I didn't have, so don't get mad at me. The last season, I had nothing to do with the overarching arc. They were like, "We just want you to do weird episodes." I go, "Great." And I pitched them 10, and they were like, "These are too weird." And I was like,
Wait. I want to make sure. Supernatural said it was too.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, they were really. I was like, "This is our last season. We should do Super Hulock," or like, they're like, "What?" And I had this whole plan, like a conspiracy plan to steal David Tennant from.
Oh my God.
He was on DuckTales. I'm like, I know people at DuckTales. We can get David Tennant.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Your Rolodex.
And they all just looked at me like, "You're crazy."
Your Rolodex must be fantastic. That's the thing that used to store numbers. If anyone doesn't know what a Rolodex is, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm carbon dating myself when I do that. So I definitely wanted to mention Green Lantern animated series because there have been clear references to it.
Yes.
In your book. So so basically, I've always felt that if you are a fan, the work will be better as that. So in terms of Green Lantern, how were you introduced to it, and did anything really did any Green Lantern run or story really influence in you? And do you have a favorite? I feel like when you ask if you have a favorite Green Lantern,
it's Guy Gardner, 100%.
Your favorite kid.
No, it's Guy Gardner.
It's Guy Gardner? Okay.
Because I had read the Justice League International. If you've read Justice League International, it's like that was the first time as a kid I was like, wait, so comics can be funny? Like I didn't.
Right.
I had never experienced that in a way. And they did this gag in that book where Guy Gardner bumps his head and he's a pacifist for a year. And it's my 2 favorite covers by Kevin Maguire, which if he's at Artist Alley, and if you get a chance, I'm like totally the Chris Farley of comics. Like, remember the time you wrote the book? I'm like constantly badgering him and like fanboy. And he did my 2 favorite covers, which is they did this whole gag for a year where Guy Gardner was a pacifist and he would cry and he's very sensitive. And the cover was like Lobo leaning over Guy Gardner, and then at the end of that issue, his head gets knocked, and then he turns back to the horrible jerk that he is.
Yes.
And it's the reverse, him over Lobo going like, "I'm back."
Oh God.
So I know that Tomasi, who I love, had given Guy Gardner a lot of maturity, and I'm like, yeah, no, he needs to be a jerk. It's like Damien needs to be a jerk. Everybody, the jerks need to stay the jerks. But no, Guy Gardner's my favorite. Green Lantern, if you didn't know, my father had drawn some comics for DC when I was a little kid, but my parents were divorced very early, so obviously psychologically I'm chasing affection. Eventually it became my own thing, but he had drawn about 12 books, and when I wrote 13, I was like, take that, But I was always steeped in comic books. I love comic books. Green Lantern, was in Super Friends.
Right.
I kind of dug him that way, but it was Jeff Johns and Tomasi.
Right.
Jeff doing Green Lantern that really hooked me in, and Tomasi doing Green Lantern Corps was really big for me.
Right.
That's when I connected with it more than just Guy Gardner and that crazy cast in JLI.
So basically, your career is trying to one up the people you like. So now you're doing Green Lantern Corps and Green Lantern, like Tomasi at one point was doing. So they're like what do you email them? Suck it repeatedly,
No.
All those Green Lantern Corps you did. I've destroyed all of them.
No. I know that I'm a mediocre guy, so I'm going to beat them in quantity. I'm like I can definitely write fast,
right?
And if you're an older nerd like me, when they asked me to do Flash, the conversation was they called me. I had done like a couple backups in Future State, and they called me and they said, hey, do you have any ideas for the Flash? And at this point, Warner Brothers is crumbling to the ground like a failed
Dust in the wind.
Jenga tower. It was crazy. And I said, I am a nerd of a certain age, sir. I have ideas for everything, And I was like, what if we did this quantum leap? And he goes, yeah, that's better than we got. You can take over the Flash. And that was literally the conversation. I was like, oh, I get the Flash, And they all thought everybody was going to be bankrupt in a month, Yeah,
I've never been more terrified. You did a Speed Force Velociraptor. I was like, yet we just keep rebooting all of Jurassic Park every time instead of...
No, but I made him character, so his name's Swoosh, and the caveman's name is Ugg, and they're out there somewhere.
Oh, God.
I when they took me off the Flash, I was like, bitter and angry.
Oh, God.
Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good.
What are we talking about?
Oh no, you're doing fine.
Right.
So I wanted to bring that up. So you've worked on Flash,
Yeah.
you worked on Green Lantern Corps, and you're also now working on Aquaman.
Correct.
So these are all legacy characters, decades of continuity, stories, fans. So what do you feel is the biggest challenge with working on those kind of characters, and what is your approach on overcoming that?
I mean, they're all different for different ones. Like the Flash, I feel like the Flash is the most powerful person in the DC universe. That's my I mean, he can go faster than light. Like, how are you going to stop him? You know.
Right.
But when I figured out that empathy is his weakness in a way, where it's like he has to slow down to help people, and that is when he gets a boomerang in the head. It was like, oh, and it was very much my life. It was like he has a weird job, he has 2 kids. It was great. It was fun. Green Lantern. The hard stuff with Green Lantern is, even though DC Comics has rebooted continuity a bunch of times, Green Lantern hasn't necessarily. So like the continuity is very thick,
right?
And it's very hard to figure out because my editors don't know. Sorry, cameras, but they don't know exactly what's what in a way. So that kind of moves the story in directions where I was very much like, okay, I'm going to blow up some lanterns so that I can kind of start anew in a way and try to figure out what this is and give me enough runway that I don't screw it up so badly. You know, Aquaman is just hard because everybody tells me they're like, here's the book. It's going to fail. That's kind of how they introduced. I was like, oh, I don't want it to fail, and I'm not good at Atlantean politics, so I was like, well, no, I'll do Conan the Barbarian underwater. I'm having a great time. I love it, but it is interesting in a day and age in which fandom can be so communicative. It can be really wonderful, and it also can be like, we hate you and you should die, and you're like, I don't know,
So basically, your career is the world versus Jeremy Adams.
That's right.
Okay, good to know.
No. Most people are wonderful, but as my wife points out, it's like 99 out of 100 people are great. It's that one person, and I'm such a people pleaser. I'm like, love me,
Yep.
And they're like, well, I want you to die. I'm like, okay, but let's talk about it.
And that one person, of course, has a Twitter account, and you're like, damn it! Yeah. It says he cuts me to the bone every time. All right, so speaking of Green Lantern, there's been so much happening. You have the destruction of the central batteries. You have the fractal lanterns. So these are people who, at any point, red, yellow, green, whatever, and then even new ones like Sorrow is and even the Starbreaker Corps. Yeah. So, was that like you're doing these big moves and especially destroying things, and of course you're trying to rebuild it, but was that daunting? And did you like hit up Jeff Johns for like tips or advice?
No, Jeff and I are very friendly. When they took me off the Flash, and I was I was very maudlin about it when I called him. Because who do you call? It's like, I know Jeff Johns. Hold on, what do I do? And I was like, they took me off the Flash. And he's like, oh man, what are you talking about? And I'm, maybe it was also me going like, you go tell him. But he was like, what do you mean? I go, they want me to do Green Lantern. He's like, wait, what? He's like, that's so much better. And I'm like, no, it's not. And he's like, yeah, it is. You got to do it. You'll be great. I was like, well, Jeff Johns thinks I'm great.
There you go. So, see, Jeff Johns. Yeah. You got Jeff Johns in your corner.
He told me the other day, he was like, the biggest compliment you can get is like somebody like Jeff or Mark Waid had said it was really hard for him to read. He couldn't read Flash after he was done. And so he was, when I met him, like Mark Waid, I was on Twitter, and it was like, he's at a comic book store right down the road. I was like, grab my keys. I'm like, I gotta go, honey. Out the door. Right. And I go there, and I'm like, hi, Mark Waid. My name is Jeremy Adams. He goes, oh, I love your run. I was like, what? And he was like, I really love it. I haven't been able to read it for a long time, and I really love your run. I'm like, that's the best thing. And Jeff said, your Green Lanterns, I really like it. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Now listen,
that's 2.
Odds are he's probably lying, but that doesn't matter. To me, it's truth.
Right.
And you back off.
right, of course.
So I don't ask him for advice because also, as a creator, you don't want to sit there and go, oh yeah, your ideas, I'm destroying them, or like something that you love. By the way, I'm going to manipulate this and do this thing. I don't want that. I don't want them to hate me. Like again, back to the one person, I want them to love me. So no, I don't. It's more of just trying to take the totality of what's happened in the Green Lantern, which is massive. Right. And then Jeff and Pete, they blew it up even more. Right. I mean, as far as the continuity mythology, and so you're trying to figure out where are the holes.
Right.
But I'm such a weirdo nerd, I'm like, well, I'm going to reference Millennium, stuff that's no one. My editors are like, no one's going to know. I go, oh no,
We do.
Yeah.
We do. It's okay. You're doing fine. So having read a lot of your work, you continue the tradition, of course, in slipping in some pop culture references. So, whether it's a cop wondering if they should call Ghostbusters, or you have Kyle Rayner with an Indiana Jones fedora and a whip, they're going to raid the tomb of the Source Wall. And of course, what I enjoy is that Connor can't help. He's like, we're going to do this heist. He's like, nerd.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, Superboy's calling you a nerd. It's probably pretty accurate because he's a clone. That's the stuff of nerds.
Yeah.
So how do you find the balance of making like a reference, but without it not deterring the character?
Well, with like Indiana Jones, it's just that Kyle is an artist and I'm assuming a young pop culture wonk, and he has fun with his constructs more than other ones. So it's not overt, it's not. Right. I mean, it is overt. Let's be real, but it's not him going like, quoting it too much. I try to be sparing.
Right.
The most fun and the hardest thing in Green Lantern is trying to figure out constructs, and I like that Kyle just kind of randomly has a construct fedora on. It's like, well, why not? I think he has fun with it.
Well, yeah, and then you even Temple of Doom did with you had the rail cart from Temple of Doom. They're like, this is how we're going to exit.
Yeah,
and I just was reading it. And I'm like, da, 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 da. I'm like,
I'm a very big. I really like humor, and I'm not the grimdark guy. Like I can't do it. I try, and then I'm like, I got a joke. It's really hard for me. I do try to build up to dramatic moments and whatever, but when I like movies or whatever, I like like my favorite movies like Big Trouble in Little China would be like the tone I would love to go for all the time. Or if it's a serious dark movie, like all John Carpenter movies, but like The Thing, it's like, the head drops off and the tentacles come out and say, you gotta be up and kidding me. You do that kind of because that's how people are.
Right.
When I'm nervous and uncomfortable, I usually say inappropriately funny things, Even last night I was out with a bunch of comic nerds. I gotta go to bed because I'm starting to slip and say really dumb things, But that's also a product of being a writer and having to be in writers' rooms, and you're just constantly pitching and throwing ideas, and usually they're wildly inappropriate, and that's like leads you to the thing that you can use,
Well, we're coming near on the time, and
no,
I know.
Go
could,
faster.
We could. So I just wanted to ask because you all showed up, and thank you. We appreciate it. There were probably other panels that were a bit better than this, but thank you.
Oh wow, wow. See, he's the Twitter guy. I'm like,
I don't even have a Twitter, so do the research.
Sure.
Does anybody have any questions that you want, sir? If you want to come up to the mic.
Step up to the mic. Please be nice. Please.
No
Cut him down.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I know you worked on the animated series,
Yeah.
and one of the last arcs that show had was Razor looking for Aya.
Yeah.
And I know it was resolved in
Young
three
Justice?
separate, three separate projects.
Right.
Specifically, Young Justice, which surprised
But
me.
he didn't find Aya in Young Justice.
Yeah, that's the other two, because he showed up again in, well, not him, but Aya in Justice League Action.
Yes, in the Space Cadet.
And then we see them together in one of the three
Yes,
parts
the
of
Crisis. Yeah.
I was just curious if you knew of or were tracking or knew who pulled those strings just to throw that in there.
So Jim Krieg wrote with Giancarlo Volpe, who was the kind of art director on Green Lantern the Animated Series. Jim Krieg was the head writer on Green Lantern the Animated Series. Jim Krieg's my mentor. He gave me the job on Green Lantern the Animated Series, and he's one of my best friends. We go to movies all the time,
nice.
But best friend. So he had done the Young Justice episode. He also did the Space Cabbie episode because I worked on I worked on Justice League Action as well. That was a really great, joyful cartoon series I worked on.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one?
Crisis.
Crisis. He wrote Crisis. Mm-hmm. So because Green Lantern the Animated Series is so important to me, it was kind of one of these things with Giancarlo and Jim. Jim specifically, it's like, I'm in this position, I'm writing Green Lantern. It's like, if I don't do it, I don't know if it's ever going to get done. You know what I mean? And in fact, I don't think anybody wanted me to do it at DC, but I was like, I'll do it anyways. You know, like that's my tendency. I'm like, you're going to get fired before me. I'm going to do it and then see what happens, you know? So I wanted to put it in, and somebody had come up to me and asked me like, well, what's the continuity? I'm like, don't worry about the continuity. Like, you know, because Green Lantern, the animated series, it happened in a version, we just don't see it, you know? And it is definitely an Easter egg for those people that are fans of the show. And now that Aya's here in the book as well, it's been really, really fun. And it's literally, I understand that no one else cares about this unless it's people that have watched the show. And it's like, I'm just writing that portion for them, you know?
Yeah, that's great. I just figured, you know, like, just roll of the dice like 3 times.
Yeah.
Completely
No, it's all Jim.
projects.
I mean, listen, I worked on that show, and I went into the show in the room, and they were hilarious because they were all about twisting the knife. They were like, oh, man, they're going to love each other and we're going to kill her. You know? And then I was like, oh, man, that's really mean. But it's a good lesson as a writer. You're like, kill them. You know? When in doubt, kill them all.
Oh, no. I don't remember that in the Terminator. Yeah, boy.
It's great because that got me a fan of Green Lantern.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Woo. What's up, dude?
What's up?
What's up? Long-time listener, first-time
Yeah.
caller.
Oh, my God, no way.
I had a question about the color green, and quite specifically 4 brothers that are green who have shellbacks.
Oh, yeah.
Out of the 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who do you think would be the most obvious of what color lantern?
Oh, gosh, dude.
Wow. Okay.
But see, I'm not the biggest TMNT nerd, so I'm only know them by their weaponry.
Okay.
All
right.
I don't know. I'm sorry. This is too hard of a question.
Okay, no problem.
I'm like, okay, Michelangelo, which one is he? Like, you know, it's a weird gap. I love it, but also I don't love it as much as I should. That's weird.
Oh, boy.
I know a podcast you can listen to.
I know. Well, I should. I just showed my daughters the first one.
I can pivot here. We could talk about Justice League Action.
Go ahead. Justice League Action.
You had Booster Gold
Yes.
training physically with Batman in the ring.
Yeah.
That is absolutely hilarious, you know, and he's just getting completely like mollywopped by Batman and such. We've got Booster Gold hopefully coming out live action.
Yeah.
What are your predictions for this? You know, is this something where they think that they could like tap some of these writers like yourself or Jeff Johns and be like, can you give us a couple Booster Gold jokes?
Listen, I would love for them to tap me for anything.
That would be
my kids need braces.
Dental plan. Oh,
you know,
sorry.
So much of Justice League Action was weird because at Warner Brothers Animation, the writers aren't necessarily supposed to be at the recording sessions, but I don't know, Jim just let us. And we showed up, and it was the first time that we were recording Booster Gold. And Dietrich Bader is the voice of Booster Gold, who's also the voice of Batman in Justice League. Help me out.
Batman Brave and the Bold.
Brave and the Bold.
Which is amazing.
You're all good.
And Dietrich starts doing Booster Gold, and you could see every writer look at each other like, we're good. And it was like 100 pitches of Booster Gold after that because he was so good and he elevated in that way. I just hope they make him vapid and kind of, it's like, it doesn't work for me unless he's kind of a dumb person. But then Jeff Johns and John Frank did the series where you find out he's actually this unbelievable superhero that's saving the day but just not taking credit, which I think is amazing. But you have to start with him being stupid and like buying islands and putting advertising, you know, like that is important.
Boostermobile.
Yeah. And I think, man, I don't know. I don't know what their plans are. They don't tell me. Dude, I write Aquaman, you know? And who knows? If you guys don't buy it, I may not be watching it.
The irony there is that how can it sink and fail if it's a character that can go underwater? Boom.
But check out Justice League Action. It was one of my favorite things we did. I did a bunch of episodes, and they were all like, we were on a boat. This is stupid, but they're like, we're going to go up to Lake Arrowhead and hang out. And it's me and legendary Alan Burnett and a bunch of writers. And then he's like, okay, you guys are going to pitch in a couple minutes. And I'm like, you didn't tell me we're pitching, you know? And he beached his boat on a beach. And I'm like, and I started pitching, you know, like I have a Mr. Miracle episode that I think is hilarious. Because I was like, what if he was like a Vegas type Mr. Miracle, you know? And
JLI again.
Yeah. I do go for that humor. Anyways.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Sorry. I'll work on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle question.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Hi. Big fan of all the books.
Thank you.
Flash Run.
Thank
super
you.
big for me. I have a question about the Green Lantern kind of cast of
Yeah.
characters. how do you kind of come into, it's like a series, a franchise with all these huge personalities, and I think like Green Lantern fans, it depends on like when you read Green Lantern or how you.
It's like your Doctor Who. Who's your doctor?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like for me, it's like John's the guy.
Yeah.
And I started reading books. I'm like, who's this white guy? Like, who is this?
I heard about that. Honestly, it was because John in the cartoons was so big that I remember seeing it was like a tweet of Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern. They're like, I can't believe they whitewashed this character, and I was like. No, but that's how impactful the comic or the cartoon was.
And I mean, they even referenced that in what was it, JLU episode. They keep switching, and they're like, "Pick one. You're either Hal or you're John. What are you?"
But I try to address that in the comic. I'm going to finish your question, but I try to address that in the comics as like, you know, I have this thing where the Guardians realize that A, Earth is a problem area, and B, you know, they're like the cockroaches of the universe. Like if anybody's going to be anti-authoritarian and survive, it's going to be them. So let's give them a bunch.
It's like the Lion King, where the Earth is that section of it. No, we don't go back there.
Yeah.
That's Earth. We stay away from that.
So you were saying like all the characters are big personalities. How do you? And then I
just how do you give everyone their moment? Yeah.
That is a hard thing, but if you look at my comics generally, I always start with the main character, who they are, and I kind of slowly build, and then I can't help myself because I'm like, ooh, there's another toy, you know. And for Hal, the biggest struggle was keeping him on Earth for as long as I did, and then it was like, okay, but what's going on with the other characters? And so we started devising these backups with people that were integral to those characters, and then seeing where they were. Now it's very full. So luckily the Green Lantern book was doing good enough that, and this is me also trying to push DC to do something. So, hey, look at all these characters. We probably need another book. And so then it's like we got the Green Lantern core book, and then we get the opportunity to more focus on those characters. It's hard. I'm just kind of feeling it by intuition sometimes, because I'm like, we haven't, like even now I'm like, we haven't done enough with Jess right now. We haven't done enough with Joe or Simon right now. But I'm trying to touch on them enough that it keeps them there and keeps people interested. And my goal would be like, I would love tons of Green Lantern books, but I don't think the market can support that. So with my main book, which is Hal, and then Kyle's Superboy, and now Odyssey, the Time Bandit, that originally was supposed to be Wonder Girl, but then they didn't get permission.
Oh God!
So art starts coming. I have this Fernando Passern draws this full splash page of Connor Kent in the most like sexualized pose everywhere. And I did it only because I was like, because Wonder Girl's going to see him and it's going to be this relationship thing. Yep. And then like, you can't use Wonder Girl. I'm like, well, this is weird now, you know? So then I've started this little mini relationship between Connor and Odyssey, which was named by my daughter. She's like, Dad, she needs to be a time bandit. I was like, that's a genius idea, child. Good stuff. You are paying your way. So, but anyways, Kyle is there in the background doing the thing, but Kyle and Hal. And then as this year goes along, I think some of the focus is going to start shifting on Kyle a little bit, because Hal's going to do something crazy, and not in a bad, like, kill people, parallax crazy. Like,
I was about to say.
We've done that. I don't want to do that again. Don't worry. But it is hard. It's an interesting thing that I start really liking the characters a lot, and I want to give them more time. But it's hard. I don't know how else to put it except that I'm trying to bring in all those characters, because I don't know if there's been a book that's had all the Green Lantern characters for. Usually it's just like Simon and Jess, or it's just John or whatever. And I definitely want Green Lantern to be a more focal point for some of those other characters, because DC also wants Hal to be here in Green Lantern, or Kyle. And so,
okay,
thanks.
Thank you.
Are they playing us off?
No.
That's amazing.
I know. I would have. I didn't realize we had the budget for that. I
think all panels should be like WWE shows. Go ahead.
Yeah, sir.
Hey, Jeremy. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
2 Lantern questions.
Okay.
First is Star Sapphire recently is being written like she's a beginner.
Yeah.
Like, why is
that?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh boy.
So, 2 things. One, continuity is a wacky thing. I've tried to explain some of it being the influence of the Predator, giving her a little more knowledge base than she probably had before. That kid agrees.
Yep, totally.
It's
and her dad does too.
It's also a way to separate her as a specific hero and not just Hal's girlfriend, because even though she's Queen of Zamarons or that she's had the ability to fight and do certain things, I think that she leapt from 0 to 100 like a capable character with a ring really, really fast. And I think explaining that was kind of the Predator's influence in that. If you go back and read like the Predator stuff, it's really crazy and weird. Yeah. But we made a determination last year at Comic-Con, actually. Mark Waid was doing Justice League Unlimited, and they wanted a lantern. I said, can we put Carol in there? Because I think we need to build her out as her own superheroine that could be that, you know, maybe she won't be Wonder Woman level, but like all those other characters like Black Canary or whatever, I want her to be a character outside of Hal. So look forward to more of that.
That makes me really happy because I love the character.
Yeah,
so
me
I
too.
actually see her being used.
Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
She's Last Star Sapphire. There is no lantern that you or anybody in this room know of.
Yeah.
We don't really know what else is going on. She's very capable, but I also feel like because the spectrum's a little different, and also her perception, because of the way she's been written over time, as jealous girlfriend or, oh, Hal's not here. I've kind of picked up on that thread and been like, now she's realizing like, oh, this is a responsibility to be a hero in a way that maybe she didn't recognize before. So it's just kind of fleshing out that character in the way that I think that you, as an audience, we can go like, oh, we're going to cheer her on. She's going to be awesome. And she's going to be somebody that, again, exists outside of Hal. Okay. Because I even when I leave this book, I don't want, how do I put this? Like, one of my joys is I have 2 daughters, and I don't do it right all the time, but like I love creating female characters for like Gold Beetle or whatever. Like I love creating characters that it's kind of like giving more characters for girls out there in a way. For sure. Yeah. And that's why, you know, she doesn't have the most revealing outfit, you know, anymore, because I'm like, okay, all right, you know, I don't want my daughter cosplaying as her.
Speaking of female characters, the last run before yours.
Yeah, Jeff's.
So many Green Lanterns hundreds of lanterns were killed off screen, or off panel.
Yeah.
Are any of those alien lanterns, like Arisia, gonna ever come back, or they're all?
Well, specifically, I'm not going to answer that.
Okay.
But
dun, dun, dun.
Yes. Again, it's such a weird thing because you've got a monthly comic of 22 pages.
Yeah, and you have so many characters
right.
already. That
you have so many characters. Right now, we're in the rebuilding of the Lantern era, right? Because they only have so many rings. Yes, to your question. That's the goal, because there's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know who's alive anymore. There's
right,
so
no
many
one
alien
does.
lanterns.
Yeah. So we're also trying to figure that out. I think Morgan and I have like a shared document. I'm trying to be like, okay, is this character here? What about Volcano Head guy? Like, is he here? You know. And there's a lot of characters I don't know, because again,
there's so many.
And there's so many, and artists would just be like, I'm going to do something weird in the background, and somebody's like, that's my favorite. Why didn't you write him? I hate you. And I'm like, I'm sorry. He'll come back.
But I love your run.
Thank you.
Just I hope you're on it for another decade.
I tried to leave. I won't lie. I tried to leave. I tried to leave because I was scared that they were going to pull it like Flash, and I was like, I got to get out before they make me cry, you know. And they're like, you can't leave. They're like, you signed a contract now. You're here forever.
You're gonna have to cut the finger off. You know, just Yes, sir.
All right, I have 2 questions. One that I think is just yes, no, and the other that's more. Given Dove, Kyle being a White Lantern, and everything else that you talked about, like Millennium, do I have to reread Brightest Day?
No.
You're good.
Okay. No, I don't think so. I think, you know, even some of the cosmology and the continuity and the mythology around some of that it's complicated, and the entities are complicated, and I'm trying to streamline it a little bit. I also am... with Kyle, it's interesting because what I'm excited about with Kyle is that the thing is, I don't think Will, and this is bad, but that I don't think Will isn't an emotion. But I always feel like it is an anchoring principle for emotion. So in my mental state, it's like I use willpower to not be afraid. I use willpower to hope sometimes. It's the thing that, so when the fractured spectrum thing came around, it's like if you have the willpower to control that emotion, which is, in my life, you have to have willpower to control some of that emotion, you won't explode. And with Kyle, because he's so in tune with all the emotions and he was having that mental break or whatever, now he has the ability to Super Saiyan up into a White Lantern. The problem is that if he expends all that energy, he will have no powers for a minute. So that becomes like, are you going to do it? If you ever seen Last Starfighter, I always think about the death blossom. He uses the death blossom and then they're dead in the air, and it's like, oh crap, what am I going to do now? I'm in my jockey shorts with no power, So I think it'll lend itself to an interesting dynamic because I really like the White Lantern aspect, but I also like him as a Green Lantern. So I'm like, I'm going to do what I want. I'm the writer,
Yeah.
And then the other question is, just because you're talking about this wide cast, I think people have like a preconceived notion of Guy and Hal and Carol.
Sure.
And others, but then there's Teen Lantern and there's the...
Which, by the way, did you know she's not a teenager? Like,
No.
This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. We found out that in continuity she's 12.
Yeah, right? From Young Justice and Bendis.
And I'm like,
right?
what do you mean she's called Teen Lantern? What did you do, Bendis? And they're like, no, she's 12. And I go, well, can we age her up to 13? Like
Or
her birthday?
18 no.
This is what kills me. They won't let me de-age John Kent, but they'll go, no, you can't age her up. I'm like, but she's Teen Lantern. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
It's a huge fight over this stupid thing.
So there's like Teen Lantern, and then there's the Green Lantern construct.
Ellie,
that
Philip
came
Kennedy
out of,
Johnson
like,
made.
you
Yeah,
know,
the problematic
original-
construct.
And
Yeah.
I think that they're like less known. So how
Yeah.
do you like build into your story like I have to educate people about these characters because there's no preconceived notion of who Guy is, who Hal is.
Right. This is a good example of something that I find in movies that I think are very, very important. I learned this when I started doing screenwriting. The first time you meet a character, you should get a hold of who they are a little bit. The best example is like Ghostbusters, when you see Bill Murray's character and he's like hitting on the girl and acting like she's psychic while the other guy's psychic, and you're like, this guy's,
Yep.
And so, but you know who that is. With those lesser-known characters or characters like Philip did Ellie, who's a construct of his John's dead sister, you're like, oh boy,
Oh boy.
It's an opportunity for me to write the character the way that I think will be fun. How do I put it? Like Teen Lantern's one that people are like, oh, I hate Teen Lantern. And I go, I get it, because you guys all said you hated Hal too. But is there a way that I can make, and then I ask myself the question, I know nothing about them, what is there to hold on to? And how do I make them somebody that you would care about? Right. And that's a real cool opportunity. And that happened with me with Wallace in the Flash run. Not Wally, but his cousin. And I was like, I don't get this character. And then I did the episode where Wally takes him out, like they ditch school. And I was like, all right, I get this character. He's Wally is my cousin, and I'm the guy trying not to get in trouble. Wallace is, or I call him Ace, is the guy that's like, I don't want to get in trouble with, like, oh, listen, Wally, you're a problem, And then it just became really fun. And then when I wrote him with Impulse, I was like, oh, this is even better, because Ace is kind of like straight down the line, and he's a good hero and stuff. And so suddenly people were like, I love this character now. And if I can do that, if I can push the needle and to make you go, oh, this is interesting. And Bendis, who I think is an incredible writer, I don't know if you've read the origin of Teen Lantern, but it's like an alien drops down with a glove. She's like, great. Like, takes a glove, like the guy dies. And you're like, wait, what? Like, what? I don't understand. What's the glove? And it's, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to explain that because I'm a nerd and I like to fill in continuity holes and I like to fix things. And that's what you get from books like me. You just get a guy that just wants to change the universe to his liking.
There you go. Yes, sir.
Hey, Jeremy. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Seeing you again.
This is awesome.
Yeah, just a question about, I know most writers don't like to really tell people, but how far out do you have it sketched out to?
I usually have, it depends on the book, but I usually have an idea of where I want to end. And then I backfill that with different things. With Aquaman, I know kind of where I want to end, but then DCKO and some of that other stuff is kind of integral to that. With Green Lantern, I knew the United Planets ending when I started. I was like, because I'd read Jeff Thorne's run, and I'm like, well, I don't understand the Source Lantern. I gotta fix that. And I was like, not fix it, but I was like, I want to use those. I want to explain that. Like the green, and my editor said, well, just write a blurb that everything went back to normal. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm a nerd. Like, I have to explain it in 12 issues, And Philip Kennedy Johnson was doing United Planets. I'm like, this is a great opportunity to do some really cool stuff. And I don't know if you're like me, but like, I read comics. I want them to make sense. I want them to carry over. I want that soap opera to make to do that. And I just don't want to hand wave it away, and it provides some really cool opportunities to tell some cool stories, I think. So having the quarantine for Earth and stuff. So I knew that. But as I got closer to it, it was at Comic-Con last year, and my editor goes, so what's happening next? And I go, I have to know that now? And he's like, yes. And then I was like, hold on. And I was like, okay, what if it's this? And he's like, crap, that's great. And when Mark Waid was like, crap, that's great. I was like, yeah, I got them both, and
2 for 2.
So then I kind of think the next arc. Sometimes it comes faster. With the Flash run, what I really enjoyed about the Flash run was that I could do like a 3-issue arc and then do 2 single offs. And those were really fun because I felt like that gave a launch, like people could jump onto that book easier. With Green Lantern, it became so serialized. I like it, but I also want to figure out how to work in those really fun, and I've got some really fun stuff coming in the next. We've got a Green Lantern, Green Arrow crossover. Green Lantern, Batman is going to show up, which they're frenemies, Mm-hmm. And I think that's hilarious. Because I've had some of that stuff where Wonder Woman's like, you're just jealous, and he's like, so it's fun. It's fun to play those things. But it just depends on the project. But I try to think what the end of that particular arc is, and then work toward that. Pacing is always weird, and then of course you have the notorious DC. After issue 2, it's like, well, you got to do this thing called Night Terrors, and they didn't say that like that. They were like, listen, either you can do it or somebody else can do it. I'm like, well, that feels like a threat. I don't know, so I guess I'm gonna do it.
Afraid to take you off it.
Yeah.
So you already said that Aquaman will be in the KO, or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all 3 of them are going to be. Is that just?
I don't know about Green Lantern. Literally, no one's asked me about it, so I don't imagine Green Lantern's going to be involved. Though I tied him into Absolute Batman or Absolute Power, which based around my initial pitch was like, can Hal Jordan steal the Batwing? That was like, can I do that? Can he steal a Batwing? He'll fly it better than Bruce ever would, And they're like, yeah. I was like, that's awesome, So, sorry, we're over, aren't we?
No, we're good.
Somebody's gonna break.
Oh no, I miscalculated, and so I was like, oh, we actually have a little bit more time.
Oh,
so I have one more question.
Sorry.
Are you good?
I got one more.
Okay, go. No.
We can go quick unless somebody
else. Go for
else.
it. Yeah, rock and roll.
Yeah. Oh God, no, I just totally lost.
Oh,
God, darn it.
Boo.
Focus.
No, just kidding.
Willpower.
Yeah.
You got this.
I remember.
I would say.
Anybody else have a question while he thinks about it?
In brightest day.
Yeah.
No. That's the
Go
other
real
panel.
fast. Holler. Yeah, he's gonna holler, and you think about your question. We'll do it quick, and I won't ramble. That's the problem. I ramble.
So Hal's my favorite.
Okay,
so
great.
Please don't turn him bad again.
Oh no, I won't. Trust me.
It's really more of a comment. Just sitting here listening to everything you're talking about and read it all.
You're like, you're an idiot.
Thank you for getting Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps both back up and going, and not just at a level that an older nerd like me can enjoy, but my kids love what you're doing in those books.
You guys.
So you're
Happy
doing
the
a great
Oxalotl.
job on the Green
Thanks.
Lanterns. So
thank you.
Thank you for.
I'm lucky. Listen. It wouldn't be a book without Zermanico's art is unreal, and every day I'm like, they're gonna pull him for Batman. I know it. Like you don't know the existential dread I have about it, and I'm like, you should. And they have tried to steal him, and he kept going like, no, I'm gonna stick with Jeremy. We're gonna do as much as we can. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm like, he's my ring now. And then Fernando Passarin he's the first artist I ever worked with, and I love that guy so much, and he's doing killer job on Green Lantern. So without the artists and the colorists and inkers and all that stuff, it's been fun. It really has. I really enjoyed it. So anyways, you got
You remembered?
I remember.
Go.
Yes.
As you were talking to him, I'm thinking, all right,
Yeah.
remember. So like most of us here, when you left Flash,
yeah, we cried.
we were pissed.
A lot of
Agreed.
So
Burn it down.
With that editor, and they said, like you said, that they're like, oh yeah, it's doing really well, but we're gonna go in a different direction.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure as a writer.
Which, by the way, was fun because 1 Minute War started and it sold out like the first 3 issues, and I was like, that's what you get,
That's what you get.
And I had to be quiet about it for months, and I was just stewing.
You just throw it on the ground.
Yeah. Anyways.
Is that one of the things you talked about with the Green Lantern team editor? Like, I know there's no
like my end point.
Right, you can't say like, well, I want to be on forever.
No, like I said, I tried to leave. I tried to leave because it was doing well, and I was like, I leave while it's good, and they don't make me cry, And now they're like, no, you're sticking on. I'm like, yeah, you're lying, So no, we haven't talked about an exit strategy. and it will. I think it will have to do with because I signed an exclusive contract with DC, and you guys, the stuff I pitch them, they just say no to everything, and it's so wacky, and it's fun because I want to do other characters and maybe lesser known characters, or like I have Omega Bam Man, which is my intergalactic space wrestler, and I'm like, I'd really like to do more with that. And they're just like, no. And I'm like, And they're like, we can't sell it. I'm like, you don't sell anything. I sell it. So,
just right.
Yeah, we don't have an exit strategy yet, but I'm sure eventually they'll be like, all right, enough of this stupid person.
Hey, thank you very much for being here.
Yeah.
So
I've got one.
Go boy.
Go.
I have a supernatural question.
Okay, go for it, man.
Okay.
The episode Last Call.
Yeah.
Where did that inspiration come from? 'Cause I love Supernatural since day one. I ugly cried at the last episode.
Oh, gosh, man.
But that episode where like he meets his old friend, he's running the bar.
Yeah.
Where'd that inspiration come from?
So, like I said, I pitched a bunch of crazy episodes they said no to. And so I literally was like, well, can we do a Roadhouse episode? And
Roadhouse.
2 reasons. One, I wanted to be in the bar fight. I wanted them to hit me with a bottle or something. And they said no. And number 2, I love Christian Kane. I loved Angel. I love Leverage. But I love Christian Kane as a singer. And I know him and Jensen were friends, and they both sing. And I wanted to do this thing where, kind of a Roadhouse episode I knew that they would let me do. And because of the function of the monster that was there, it was going to give a chance for Jensen to sing. The fact that they sang the Dukes of Hazzard theme song was totally rad.
Yep.
But it was also this opportunity that I knew just innately that they're friends. And so actors that are friends and can trust each other can have these really emotional moments. And it was really wild because Christian Kane was so good and Dean was so good. And I think that that's an exploration of the fact that they do have friends and these relationships in an interesting way. The thing that was interesting about it was like Jared Padalecki, he had to go do something, so he couldn't be in the episode. So I had to knock him out again, which he gets knocked out all the time.
Very strong head.
So it was also about a lot of those episodes were about the coming sadness that was going to happen. So even when I did Last Holiday, which was my second one with Mrs. Butters, it was like, this is the last happy moment in all of Supernatural because it was all just going to go bad. But the last call was very much just not only do I like Dean a lot, when you meet Jensen, you're like, oh, you're like a superhuman. Like, not only are you incredibly intelligent and humble, but he leads. And then you can see what he can do actually acting-wise. So it became weirdly a lot more emotional than I thought it was going to be, But it was just about him because, Jared was in love with the other girl and he needed to get out. And it was fun.
All right. So I'll just ask my last one and then y'all can go continue on or carry on, as we would say. Yes, there you go. Yeah, right. No. So the last question I had, because I was just like,
I don't know, man. There's a lot of pages.
No. These aren't all that. No, calm down.
Okay.
All right. So I just have one question about your Aquaman run, because Aquaman is in the Absolute Universe, searching for Mira and that. So your supporting cast, or as I like to call it, the Aquacast, hashtag you got it, includes Captain Nemo from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And I haven't seen him in a comic since Alan Moore and the late, great Kevin O'Neill's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So was that one of those ideas that you pitched and like, they're not, and they were like, okay.
Sometimes I pitch, sometimes I just do things to see if they'll say yes. With Zan from the Wonder Twins, I had to pitch that, and they were like, I love it. No, I was at Disney. I was in Japan with my family at Disney Sea, and there's this whole 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea thing, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I was like, and then I'm like, I need to write off this trip. No, I didn't say that. That's not why I did it. But I was like, this is cool because what I'm dealing with is this blue, this connection to the waters all throughout the universe, and the fact that in time and space and giving that opportunity to bring the Lady of the Lake and the Nautilus in was just, I thought, this is cool. He's never been in a Aquaman book. This will be cool. Give him a home base.
Right. Yeah.
And this cool submarine. And it was like, it's neat. Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's a weird cast.
Yeah, it's
and people are upset about it, but it is cool. I like it for now, anyways.
So my last question is, if there's any aspiring Aquaman, Flash, or if Supernatural comes back, maybe even that. Do you have any advice for anybody here if that's where the road will go? Yeah, wants to be a writer, creator, anything.
Get better at grammar because I'm terrible at it.
Okay. Kids, stay in school.
So I think the biggest piece of advice that I learned, especially if you're doing some creative arts or you're going into film and television, like everybody was like, don't do it. And I came out from college to LA with a bunch of people, and within a year they were all gone. And I knew that it was a long game. I mean, it took me over 10 years to get my first credit in television, and then I think it was almost 20 years before I got to do a comic book. So understand that this is the best way to describe it. I came out and I went to a Carl's Jr. or I think it's Hardee's here or whatever, and I was going to interview for a position, and I was in the drive-thru, and I needed to, eat a hamburger to make my jitters settle down.
Yes.
And I see the car in front of me, reach out for the bag of food from the person working at Carl's Jr., and his hand goes in. And then I see the guy from Carl's Jr. reach out and put like it was a script, and hand it to the guy in the car. And I was like, oh, everybody wants to do this. And it was incredibly demoralizing. And but I was definitely like, I'm like the survivor. I'll outlast and outwit everyone, And it was just writing and networking and trying to meet people and being a nice guy. And you find out you have to be nice. You have to be fun to work with. It almost doesn't matter what skill level you are. If you're good to work with and you get things in on time, that's a huge indicator that you will survive and move on. But you have to just keep writing. You have to have stuff. Jim Krieg gave me a job because he said, do you have anything to read? And I was like, do I? I have a bunch of scripts. Here's a script. And I remember him coming back and he goes, this is garbage. And he goes, but it's the good kind of garbage. I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I have no idea.
But I had something, And so just keep writing. And there's a billion opportunities now. Like, you can befriend people online. Just make sure you're not crazy and just, be cool and just keep working.
All right. Everybody, that's time.
All right.
I just let you all know, 5 stars for Jeremy Adams. Help his ego.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone keep enjoying Terrificon. Next panel will be up soon.
Thank you, guys.